Hey everybody, we're back doing another fun episode of Indie Reads Aloud. I am your host, Diana Catherine Penn. Today, Jean Davis is joining us again, and this is why I'm telling you it's going to be a lot of fun, because Jean Davis is always fun, because Jean Davis is such a prolific author. I never know what she's going to bring from episode to episode. She's writing so much. So welcome back, Jean. Happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me again and again and
And
again.
again. We always have such a good time. So what number book is this for you total in your catalog?
This would be number 21.
That's
This book can
insane.
drink.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, technically, doesn't it mean all of them can now?
Yes, they all can drink. Dan is very happy about because he's been drinking the whole time. But yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So, before I forget, everybody, if you are listening to this program and you have little ears nearby, you may want to preview this episode before you share it with your little ears, just in case. Jean writes some really fun stuff, and we never know what's going to pop up between the pages, so we like to be forewarned just in case. So, having said that, Jean, you've written fantasy, you've written science fiction, you've written a plethora of children's books, which you've also
Mhm.
illustrated. Um, am I missing something?
Horror, also horror.
Horror. That was the other. Everybody dies. Horror. So this is a lot. Are you finding that all the different genres you're writing are fueling your creativity, or are you finding it a bigger challenge?
No, it's fun. Everything sort of relates. I have like my horror short stories are science fiction and fantasy horror. So it's aliens, androids, ghosts, demons, and vampires. Is all of those things are still in my sci-fi fantasy realm,
in
just
in the
more.
weird genre. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, we
I
call that
fall under the.
weirdness.
I could just say I write speculative fiction. That's my
There you
giant
go. I
umbrella
I
and all the
like
little
that.
things underneath of it. And
I
then
like
children's
that.
books. But yeah, but the Nugget the Space Chicken series is sci-fi and fantasy chickens. So I did bring it back under my umbrella. Yeah.
Right. I'm still waiting for you to write a science fiction fantasy sheep book, but that's just me because I'm stuck on your sheep because I love them so much. There are little pieces and nuggets that we find in a particular author's work that we just for some reason gravitate onto over time, and it's the thing that fuels us picking up your next title,
You never know what you're going to get. There might be
right?
sheep, might be chickens. In this book, and then in the book we'll be talking about today, there's Geppa, which are like kind of like woolly goats, mountain goaty kind of things. So yeah, I still have animals. We still have animals. Yeah.
Well, I don't know that. Is it possible for you to write stuff that doesn't have animals?
I can't say that it is. I
Yeah,
think
that's what
there's
I thought.
animals in everything. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I say, yeah,
Um,
even the sci-fi series has an animal. Yeah.
yeah. So my favorite out of everything that I've read of yours, and admittedly, I have not read all 21 yet. I'm still working on it. I still love Not Another Bard's Tale. So anybody who's curious about my reference to the sheep, just go buy the book. You'll thank yourselves later. Love that book. But I'm also madly in love with your chicken collection, both for the little people and for the middle grade reader. Tell me about why you decided to branch off into the chicken world.
Well, so I brought a sick chicken to the Lakeshore Art Festival years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and because it was home and it was sick, and I needed to have medication, so I took it with me, and that was the best-selling weekend I had had in a long time because people were coming up going, "What's the deal with the chicken?" And so we talk about chickens and be like, "And I also write books," and so I'm like, I am onto something here. Okay, this chicken magnet. So I started bringing chickens because I have cute little fluffy chickens and they sit on the table and it's great. And it became this great when I did art festivals to have a chicken and we talked chickens and then also books. And then they would start to ask me, are the chickens in your books or what's the tie-in? I said, the tie-in is you got to my table and now I can tell you about books.
Right. Yeah.
And they were like, good job. Okay, that
Yeah.
worked. It worked.
Yeah. Yeah,
So then
this is the bait. Come closer.
this is the bait. Now come buy books.
Yeah.
And then I got KK when I adopted KK, my little special needs chicken, and that I'm like, now this chicken actually has a story. Okay, so we will write the chicken story, and then it's just kind of gone on from there.
Blossomed from there.
Yeah, yep. So
So, yeah, and anybody who comes out to see you live and in person, chances are you'll get to meet a chicken or two
yes,
and
indeed. Yeah.
pet them. They're really fluffy, so pet them.
Pet the chicken.
Pet the chicken. Okay, tell me about your science fiction world.
In this book or just in general?
Just in general, and then we'll get to the book. But
Okay, so this book and most of my sci-fi books take place in a greater universe, the Narvan universe. And it is just kind of a futuristic, not necessarily Earth related. Earth is in there somewhere, vaguely referenced to, because
right.
there's humans in addition to everybody else, but does not really deal with Earth itself in most instances. So it's a lot of like the same technology and the same kind of vibe throughout all my sci-fi. Not hard sci-fi. I don't do hard sci-fi. So
Now
it's
that
a lot of just
requires a lot of research.
it does, and it's just
Yeah,
not me. I read some hard sci-fi. I don't mind hard sci-fi, but it's not what I enjoy character based. Let me put characters in a fun situation in a sci-fi environment and we'll go do that.
sure.
So there is
Yeah,
there is some sci-fi elements in it, definitely, but it's not heavy where you have to like understand how the fusion engine works to get how the things are happening.
yeah.
I want to just have a fun story you can enjoy. So,
That works for me. Absolutely. So tell me about the book you're going to read today, which is called I-9, which I find a very intriguing title to begin with. So tell me a little bit about where the title came from and then set up the part that you're going to read for us today.
so the emperor's name starts with an I. And so that all the emperors have the same name. And so he is the ninth emperor to have this name.
So kind of like Caesar.
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So he's the ninth one. And so this is the book about him and his
So does that mean are there 8 others,
there are eight others who have had this name.
but
Yes.
not
No,
8 other books?
this is a
Or
standalone one and
maybe eight
done.
other books?
No, this is a one and done.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say that now. It's a one and done book. It's it's a it's a book.
It
It's a
is
big
a book.
it is a
Yeah.
big book. It's a
Yeah.
500-page book. It's a book.
Holy moly.
Um,
Right.
so it is all the books are here. The story is told, it's done. Um,
Okay.
it takes place about 100 years in the future from the Narvan series. So if you did enjoy or have not read the one Narvan series and you like this, you will also like that. It is there are some things that are referenced, but nothing that if you haven't read the series, you'd be lost, or if you've read the series,
Okay.
oh, I kind of a callback to that. Okay, I get that. A couple little Easter eggs for people who have read the series, and then everybody else can just read the book and enjoy the one book.
Sure.
Because I really enjoyed the Narvan books, but that series is currently, I'm calling it done. I'm not going to say it's hard done, but it's air quotes. There are air quotes involved.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get back to be writing some standalone books and books that are not series books because I have been so focused on the series books for the past few years. And I always have people asking me, oh, I loved Night of the Bard's Tale. What do you have like that? And I'm like, nothing. I don't have
Because
anything.
that was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing
Right.
else.
I told that
Um,
story. Yeah.
yeah, I'm done with that one. But they like, the funny story. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I do have a sci-fi parody is also on my list of things to do. Uh, but this one kind of also has snarky humor throughout. So I'm like trying to have
Well,
something
it
funny
it's kind of a requirement in anything that you write, isn't it?
for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I thought.
there's always some offhanded snarky humor. People
So
loved like
tell
yeah.
me,
Go ahead.
so I'm sorry. So tell me about the book because I'm super excited to hear about it because this is a brand new baby book.
It is, yes. Comes
And
out, yeah,
I don't even
yeah.
have a physical copy myself yet.
I only currently
So,
have 5 physical copies, and I have an event this weekend, and they're supposed to have been here 3 days ago, and
oops,
they are not yet.
oops.
It sat in pre-press for a week for some reason. It sat on somebody's desk for 3 weeks, or 3 weeks, 3 days after the mail label had been formed and never got to somebody.
Oh no.
Um, so now I'm doing the please let me have my books for this show. I have to release the book.
Well, I'm super excited to hear you read some of it because then I can get a little bit of a preview along with everybody else so that
Yes,
then we
yes.
can hunt you down and
You
get
can hunt me
copies.
down. Yes. So this book is about Rita Stabinov, who is my spirit animal character. Uh, she's she's a lady in her 40s, which I wish I was still in my 40s, but she's a lady in her 40s who's just fed up with humanity at this point. She's would rather just go home and be in her apartment and not speak to another human until she has to go back to work the next day. So I understand this lady very well. Uh,
Uh-huh.
she has a very small tolerance for other humans, and she works on a space station. She's a senior security officer, and she's she's just bored in her job. She's not getting advancement like she's supposed to be getting, and she's sick of the people on the space station. And then something exciting happens, and now she can finally do something, maybe, possibly, to change the situation she's in. And so that's kind of where I'm going to leave you off with a little teaser. But yeah.
My gosh, a space adventure.
It's a space opera because I like space operas. So action, adventure, mystery, intrigue, a little bit of romance. Okay, this one does have more romance in it than some books I write, but it's not, there is very low spice. I'm not a spicy person in this book. So it's
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
it's
I am
romance with low
so
spice.
excited. I'm so excited. Here's what I'm really excited about. It's a standalone, which
Yes.
means I can read it and not make a long-term commitment that I know I can't fulfill in the next year.
It is not a 7 book series. It is a one and done. So yes.
Because my TBR is so big and I hate promising
You
people
see
that I'm
these
gonna,
stacks behind me?
yeah,
Those are two of my book stacks. I have many more. Those are my
yeah, me too.
TBRs.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I am super excited. So when you are ready, please, Jean Davis, take the microphone and read aloud from I-9.
All right. So we are starting with chapter 1, and it is called I Hate All of You. Uh, yes, indeed. So I stared out the window at two more ships docking at the outer ring of the station, wondering what the fresh hell these idiots would bring. A discordant mash of music blasted around me from the three clubs that were in full swing despite it only being mid-afternoon. Two women in short dresses screamed at each other. A slapfest erupted with all the coordination of drunken fish. One of their high heels tipped sideways, spilling her onto the sticky social district floor. The other one laughed and walked away. Then she caught sight of an impromptu orgy happening on the sofa-filled lounge and wandered over to poke the nearest naked ass with a pointy orange fingernail. When the man didn't even seem to notice, she shook her head and moved on. I really hated burning season on Anduvea. With so many people flooding the station, attempting to enforce the rules was a pointless endeavor. But I figured I ought to help a fellow woman out. So I straightened my security uniform and descended the stairs from my post. Weaving through the milling crowds, I made it to the fallen woman and helped her to her feet. Fights I could let go. Trampled bodies meant paperwork, and no one wanted that. Once she found her balance on her ridiculous heels, she shook me off and squinted to read my nameplate on my uniform. With a scorn-filled glare, she yelled over the music, "Don't touch me, Officer Stabinov. She started it. You can't charge me." "Well, you go on and have a really nice day then." After making sure she was steady enough on her way, I returned to my elevated platform where I could monitor the sea of spoiled rich assholes. The thick, clear plasm ring of the wall panels allowed a distant view of Anduvea while providing just as much shielding as the opaque panels. The view was one of the few things I liked about this job. Sorry, I scrolled and I lost my place. Okay, there we go. That, and I didn't have to live with these people year-round on Anduvea's surface. My family wasn't one of the rich ones, and I never fit in with these people, even when I lived among them. The orgy in the lounge seemed to be breaking up, the sweaty naked bodies peeling away from one another. Who knew what they were on, but none of them seemed to care that they were standing naked in public. "Put your damn clothes on," I yelled. A few of them picked up whatever they'd been wearing before the sex had broken out. I'd run down later and grab what they'd left to throw in the donation bin. Some teen on the outskirts of town would love some barely worn designer clothes once the ash was out of the air. I would have swooned for a gift like that when I was a kid. On the planet below, the firestorms licked at the edges of civilization, kept at bay only by a vast plascrete swaths surrounding the city. The buildings might have been safe from the flames, but the thick air was filled with ash and the skies were a murky gray for 2 months straight. The stench of the smoke permeated everything. I didn't miss it one bit. And if I did, I could take a shift down in the docking ring and get a whiff of all the refugees, the term they used, flooding up here to spend the burning season. I enjoyed the off season, where my level of excitement was nothing more than explaining the proper use of refuse chutes or bathroom facilities to confuse trade ship visitors. Sometimes we had a thrilling moment where we had to search a suspicious ship for stolen goods or detain wanted criminals, but those were few and far between. Empaetor Iradio's empire was a well-oiled machine 8 generations in. Most people were too afraid to take the kinds of risks that brought moments of thrill to my life. Justice was banishment or death. It was a very effective deterrent. A red light went off on my terminal. I hit the button to pull up the report. Unruly behavior in the restaurant below my platform. At least it wasn't a long walk. Back down the stairs and through the crowd, I caught sight of Tino at the counter. He waved me over. What seems to be the problem? Burning season, he snipped. The noise in here was so damn loud I'd lean closer to hear him clearly. Fucking hell, Rita. Can't we put a station closed up sign just for 1 year? I wish, but look at all the business you would miss. His annoyed tone faded to whining. I love the business, but the people, could they be different people? At least they know where to piss. Point me to the one I need to kick out. He gestured to the table through the crowd where the loudest yelling emanated. I shoved my way between the people to find who I was dealing with. No fucking way. The other drunken fish slapper from the social district stood next to a table full of people, gesturing forcefully and slopping her drink all over the women beside her. She appeared to be trying to incite a riot over Tino not having saba melons. The menu said he had it. How dare he be out of her favorite melon? The nerve! Every time she waved her fist in the air, her indecently short skirt revealed far more than I or anyone else needed to see. What I really wanted was to roll my eyes, turn around, and go back to any quieter place on the station. But as the senior security officer and Tino's friend, I couldn't do that. Stupid job. Sit down, I ordered, giving her the authoritative stare down that usually worked on surface dwellers. After a glare and a squinty-eyed examination of my uniform nameplate, she kept up with the slurred complaining, but planted her bare behind in the chair. I hope Tino's staff washed and sanitized it before anyone else sat down. Why anyone would want their hoo-ha rubbing all over the public surface was beyond me. Next time wear pants, or at least underclothes when you leave your room, or I'll cite you for public indecency. I wouldn't. It wasn't worth my time, but it might get her to shut up and go away. Cite the fall guy for false advertising, she slurred. The other occupants of the tables shook their fists and slurred their agreement with her declaration. Yeah, I don't think we can cite him for running out of melon during burning season when the only place they grow is in Anduvea. Burning season isn't good for crops, and melons only have a 1 week shelf life. But you wouldn't understand any of that because you've never worked on a farm or transported stock, and I bet you've never even prepared your own food. She shot to her feet again. My dad'll hear this. I'm going to report you to the station commander. Would you like that, Officer Stabinov? Oh, that might get me a meeting with the station commander. I've been trying to get one of those for years. He owes me a raise for putting up with people like you. I pulled the bubble tab from my belt, and after verifying that I had this side down orientated correctly, I tapped it on her shoulder. The containment bubble inflated instantly, knocking her chair over and sealing Daddy's girl in a safe, soft bubble. Semi-transparent walls silenced her ranting, and the other people at the table cheered and immediately began to mock her. What a fickle crowd. Once I had the bubble moved out of the way, I righted the chair, touching it as little as possible because, yuck. I contacted my team to let them know I was escorting a bubble up to lockup. Not that it really mattered. We were too short staffs for anyone to cover my position. The bubble floated beside me. I maneuvered through the crowded social district, getting jostled nearly every step. The obscene gestures from tourists rolled off my back. I'd grown skilled at an org nose. Once out of the main fray, we took a side door corridor to the staff lift that brought us down to the level of security shared with maintenance crews. One of the narrow levels on the station, it allowed space for gravitational rings that alternated with the hydroponic loop. I need water. The lockup terminal was unoccupied. Cineo, the one who was on duty, was no doubt off somewhere supervising one of the junior members of our team. They all seemed incapable of reading the employee manual. After signing in, I located an empty cell, deactivated the bubble, and left Daddy's girl to her ranting behind a field that also blocked her voice but left her visible to the staff. Cineo was a lonely man. He deserved a gratuitous show. The compen on my collar pinged. I answered. Stabinov here. Are you available to do a stock security inspection? Against our recommendation, Commander Keefe granted docking privileges to a trade ship, said a female voice from dispatch. I know we're happy for food stores and distractions for the tourists, but right now, was Commander Keefe not aware we have a constant flow of incoming idiots today? They're flooding the unloading zone, dispatch sighed. I know. He said, and I quote, handle it. Sure, yeah, it's so easy. I'll be up in 20. Thanks, Rita. Since Cineo wasn't around to take my report, I sat at his terminal to enter it myself. With that finished, I hightailed it back to the staff lift and rode to the end of the station where the docking ring currently was. The staff lift offered a stunning view of the stars for a quiet, peaceful 12 minutes. I had a feeling they would be the best minutes of my day. Just as a sliver of the sun came into view, the lift slowed and stopped. Back home, my parents would be sitting at the table, sipping the brew calf while watching the same sun rise over the Plascrete expanse that had served as my childhood playground. Up here, it was a signal that my mid-shift break was in half an hour. And thanks to this damn stock inspection, I was probably going to miss it. Who needed to eat anyway? In the hopes I could salvage part of my break, I hurried to the docking control station and checked in to see which ring sector I needed to get to. The tourists gave me a little space to move, as they griped about having to haul their own towering stacks of luggage on board. We had hover carts, but there weren't enough for everyone. They bitched about that too. With the location attained, I headed to the Sector 6 on Ramp 2. When I spotted one of the docking staff accompanied by 3 people in stock crew uniforms, I knew I was in the right place. The door behind the station entrance and the ramp was still sealed. I hailed the docking attendant, who hurried over. Thank goodness they sent you. This will take half the time now. Efficiency was one of the few positive words associated with my name. I mustered a smile in return for her compliment. Why is the door still sealed? Dock security is tied up with all the incoming refugees. We need the standard clearance search performed and paperwork checked before we can allow the Espadot to unload any stock. Ah, yes, proper procedure. I guess they were still doing that up here. I didn't want to screw that up for them by half-assing the inspection. Do you have a checklist? I don't do these every day. Sure, I'll send it to your datapod. She pulled up her own and tapped on the screen a few times. The one on my shirt's pinged. Got it, thanks. She opened the door and sealed it behind me. I walked up the ramp, appreciating the quiet, but not so much the confined enclosed space. Upon reaching the ship door, I pounded once and stood back. The door opened a moment later. A short, smiling male with a balding head and big blue eyes stood waiting. He held up a slim device similar to my datapad. The data synced, relaying his port paperwork and inventory to me. That was when I noticed he had very long fingers. They had an extra knuckle. The Espadot's log indicated that they regularly traveled our trade routes, but they hadn't stopped here in a couple years, which wasn't a surprise. With Anduvea being at the edge of the empire, no one was excited about visiting an exile world, and ours was fully that. Not just a family that had gained the Empaetor's disfavor, but a whole cross-section of Heralax's elite, shunted out to a shitty, unpopulated world. Traders might not want to be directly affiliated with us, but they appreciated our credits. They kept their disdain to a minimum as long as we didn't attempt to book travel. The Espadot's inventory listed a lot of items that would be of interest to our tourists. No wonder Commander Keefe wanted them to dock. Holoprojectors were going to be used for all the wrong reasons. But as long as I didn't have to hose down those recreational areas, it was fine by me. Anything to keep the horny morons contained. Food of any variety was always good trade. No matter how much we stocked up before the burning, inventory always seemed to gutter out before most of the tourists returned to the surface. Assorted diversionary gadgets, as well as an impressive array of audio and visual distractions, would hopefully keep them safely occupied. The Espadot's crew members didn't have any outstanding warrants, at least none that had made their way out here yet. And since Commander Keefe had already given his approval, I entered my code to initiate payment from the station fund and verified the checklist on my datapad. All the line items were covered. You're clear. Start unloading, I said. Before I remembered Mr. Longfingers didn't speak my language. I clicked the approve button on the screen, and in a moment it translated to his pad. He grinned and gave me a quick wave. I left and walked down the ramp to observe the tourists and dock workers in case there were any urges to get sticky fingers. Everything would go to the station storeroom where our retailers would bid on it. Commander Keefe liked to take his share of the credits too. He claimed those profits went to the upkeep of the station, but we also taxed every Anduvian citizen, so it sure felt like double dipping to me. Not that the commander had ever asked my opinion. The first mover units made their way down the ramp with a crewman following behind. Two more loads came down, with crewmen accompanying each one. One of the stock staff came over and scanned their loads and escorted them to the lift, where they'd head over to the storerooms 2 levels below us. A crowd of tourists and their luggage flooded the sector corridor just as the first two crewmen returned with their empty movers and went inside to reload. I yelled at the incoming masses to let them through before we hit a total traffic jam. In the midst of blowing off an elderly snob who threatened to fire me on the spot, I caught sight of a man dashing down the ramp. He wasn't wearing an Asbadat crew uniform. We hadn't cleared them for recreational visitors. I held up my data pad and captured his face in a still frame. It automatically did a recognition scan and pulled up his ID. Ari Lehman. Occupation, bodyguard to the household of Empaetor Iradio VIII. Employment terminated as of 38 days ago for theft from the Empaetor's private treasure vault. Wanted dead or alive. And he thought he could sneak onto my station? And I'm going to leave you there.
I love my job. This is so great. And this is exactly why I tell everybody I'm a recovering 6-year-old, because hearing storytellers like you share your work, it just makes me so genuinely happy. I just love your stories.
Yay!
So this book is 500 pages ish.
Ish, yeah.
Um, what was the biggest thing that, or yeah, I don't know if biggest thing is the right vernacular, but what was that thing that you had to leave out because it just didn't, like, you were already at 500 pages. You couldn't
You know,
possibly get your
I told the story, and that's just where it ended up. So I didn't really cut from this one. It was just,
really.
no, I really didn't have
You
any big
didn't have to
cuts.
do any story juggling on this one?
Not really. I mean, I could have gone in my outline, my synopsis I had written for this one. I did have a little more of the romance aspect in it, but then I decided to keep it on the
Okay.
low spice. And so
Okay.
I didn't have to, I didn't write those scenes. So I didn't do those. I kept it, it's mature characters and they know what happens they,
And chapter 1 is filled with snark, so
and the rest of it is all the same.
I would think you are
The snark does
nothing
not
if
stop.
not consistent.
Yeah, it's all snark the whole way. That's Rita. Rita's all snark.
So you work when you're doing your science fiction work, you have different life forms, different species, different varieties of existence.
Yeah.
Um, how do you keep those on track? How do you make sure that the people, creatures, whatever, that
Notes,
have
lots of notes.
long fingers don't mix with the people who don't have long fingers? Is that just a function of you take really good notes and refer to them often, or do you have a thing in your head that manages all of that?
No, there's no thing in my head that manages anything. No, it's all notes. So I've discovered I do best as a total plancer. So
I know, that's why I'm asking.
yeah, so when as I am writing, I have learned that I need to, as I am writing in the same Word document, for the most part. Sometimes I have a references Word document, but usually it's in the same Word document just at the beginning. I will, as I'm writing Mr. Longfingers there. I will go up to my reference part of a Word document, and it's usually saved as a chapter heading in Word, so I can just click
So
right
you
back
can
to it,
find it. Yeah.
and it just says references. There it is. And I will write Mr. Longfingers and where he comes in, what he did, what he looks like, and then go back, back down to where I was in the story and write until another the person's description comes up or name comes up, and I'll go throw that in references file and come back down. Because if I don't, all kinds of bad things happen. And it takes so long in edits to cross-reference everything and go back and try to double check everything. And then I have beta readers going, isn't this person? And didn't you change the
Hmm.
spelling of the name? And I don't like those moments. They make me uncomfortable. So I try to
Right.
not have as many of them as possible by keeping that reference file up to date as I.
So, I mean, just suggestion and outline, might help you there.
No, I cannot outline. I can do a synopsis. That I've compromised with a synopsis.
Okay.
So I think this story had, I want to say like probably almost a 5-page synopsis of the whole thing. I had really kind of written a
So
good portion.
you do a proper treatment before you start doing the whole writing thing.
With a book like this, I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even my children's books, like the Nugget series ones, I did like every chapter like a line of what was going to happen in that chapter, just so I had and it.
Yep.
You might call it an outline, but it was more of a more synopsisy. Once if I get too in depth in trying to plan what I'm going to write, I've already told the story to myself and I'm bored and I don't want to tell it anymore.
Oh, I see. Okay,
So
that makes good sense.
I have to keep the story alive for me,
I get it. I get
or
it.
you
That
don't
makes
get it.
perfect.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense because
Mhm.
then the ones that you're bored with, you'll never finish. So,
I don't even get them started because I've already told it in the outline or too much synopsis, and I'm like, no, I've already played in that sandbox. I'm done. Yeah.
okay. I don't understand it, but
And I don't
I
understand you people who can outline everything. So,
yeah. I love outlining because it gives me the flexibility to hop around a lot.
oh, see, I
Um,
cannot. I have to write beginning to end.
yeah, I
I
can't.
don't like to hop around because I found an experience of writing 20 plus books because I have many books that have not been written yet or
Sure.
not published yet.
Yeah.
Um, I don't do well if I don't write beginning to end because I don't like to go back. And I have a
Ah,
really hard time getting back into that scene to figure out why I skipped it in the first place, without having notes in that scene that say, this needs to happen here, specifically all these things. I just didn't write the scene because I was going to hate my future self later, apparently. So
yeah.
this is hate for you, future self. Enjoy this scene. Um, yeah, I have to at least write very specific notes what goes there if I'm going to skip something for whatever reason to go
Yeah.
forward from there.
And my writing partner is a duck, so we pedal in different directions all the time. So
And I've talked to many writers who do that, who just, they'll
outlining
jump
works.
around in a scene or through the whole
Yeah.
book and write what floats your
Because
boat that moment.
one day standing in the shower, Drake gets an idea for chapter 6, so I have to go write that. And as long as I know where to put it, it's easy.
See, that's the thing. See, I don't know what happens yet in chapter 6. So I
Well,
can't get that far ahead of myself in my head. I have to sit
yeah.
while I'm taking my shower or washing my dishes or laying in bed going, okay, what is the scene I left off on last night and where do I need to go from there? Let's go write that because I will
Yeah,
contain myself should I skip ahead and future self will hate me. So let's
got
not
it.
do that.
Got it. This is what I love so much about our writing community is that we all write amazing stories with the same outcome, right? We get a physical book. It's that thing everybody gets to hold in their hand and flip through pages, but we approach it in such different ways.
There
And
is
to
no wrong
me,
way to do it.
and
No.
to me, that's like alchemy, right? We all have our own different alchemy we get to perform, and I'm
Yeah.
just fascinated by it. That's the other reason I love this job is because I get to learn about everybody's little alchemy approaches. So thank you so much for sharing again on the podcast. I really love having you on the program.
And thank you for having me here. We always
And
have a good time.
you still have more books you haven't read, so please make sure you come back.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. As I have time. Maybe this winter.
Yes, we could do it this winter when things
Yeah.
are calmer.
Yes. Maybe
Thank
calmer with, again, with the air quotes, but yeah,
with the air quotes.
as we're busy writing. Yeah.
Underlined with italics, in parentheses, maybe. You know?
Yes.
Thank you
Definitely.
so much. I love
Thank
having
you.
you on the show, and I wish you nothing but tremendous success with the new book.
Thank you very much.
Have an awesome night.
You too.